famous alien in the window thing that I'm pretty famous for.
Yeah, I have seen those videos. I did not see this original encounter, though. That's fascinating. We'll check that out. Just really quickly, let's let everyone out in Radioland know where they can find this info on your website. What's the website URL?
It's www.stanromanek.com. That's StanRomanek.com.
Okay, so from there, Stan, you've had this amazing encounter. Most people will go through their entire lives without seeing something so spectacular, and here you are, you're out there, happenstance, and you see this craft with a whole bunch of other people. Where does it go from there, Stan?
Well, it just goes crazy. I mean, I was really the biggest skeptic on the planet. In fact, I treated people rather unkindly who believed in this stuff. I was pretty mean to them. And it took me a long time to come to terms with this. 2001, nothing really happened from 2000 until 2001. Then we had another experience where I had some business in Pennsylvania, and I had to drive. I picked up my girlfriend. Well, I'm married to her now, but my best friend and my wife went to Pennsylvania for some business, and on the way back, we were followed by a UFO through 2.5 states.
Wow. Then
after that, I had my first abduction experience on September 21st, 2001. And that, unlike what you hear on television, and I don't know why TV always does this. They'll always have the same people talking about the same disorder when it comes to the abduction experience. They always say, "Oh, it's sleep paralysis."
Yeah.
Well, sleep paralysis is very rare. It's almost like having narcolepsy.
Okay.
And it doesn't explain my encounter, my first abduction experience. I wasn't asleep when it happened. I was fully awake through the whole thing. Travis Walton, the same thing. Betty and Barney Hill, the same thing. How do they explain that? And there's tons and tons of experiences out there that people are having where they aren't asleep. So it kind of contradicts things there.
Yeah, there are a high number of cases, though, where there are screen memories involved.
Yeah.
But you guys seem to be unique cases. I wonder why that would be. Do you have any insight on that?
I don't know. My first experience, I honestly think they're using me to make a statement. That's what I believe. I think I'm, and honestly, a lot of people ask, would you do it again? I'd do it in a heartbeat. I mean, I've learned exponentially, and there are things I'm learning that I didn't know. So, and I get to look outside the box now. Before, I lived in this tiny little bubble. I had this idea of what I thought reality should be about, and, I was miserable. Now, everything's changed, and I feel honored by the whole situation.
Yeah, as you should. Stan, I had my own encounter when I was younger, so ever since I was about 9 years old, I've been infatuated and intrigued with this phenomenon. And now with great scholars like the late, great John Mack coming out, talking to us about the nature of duality, it's really, really making this acceptable and accessible to a wide number of people from the bottom up to the top of the academic field. I'm so intrigued to find out more about your intimate experiences with the beings. At one point, so it all begins for you after that. Is it 2001? You say you had your first encounter with the beings? We'll find out about his first encounter with extraterrestrial entities right after these messages.
UFR. Experience the Caribbean and India without the airfare. Rani's Curry and Roti Shop serves up authentic Caribbean and Indian food. Rani's has all your favorites. Curried chicken, beef, mutton, goat, buttered chicken, chickpea and potato are all available in a roti wrap. Rani's is the real deal. It's real with imported ingredients and a deal with $5 lunch specials and a 10% student discount. So come on down to Rani's at 5280 Green Street, just off Queen, and experience authentic curry and roti for yourself.
Oh man, there's over 125 bands playing this year's Halifax Pop Explosion. How do I choose who to see?
CKDU presents Hop on Pop, the official Halifax Pop Explosion podcast. Get a taste of the bands playing this year's festival, hear interviews with artists, and learn what Pop Explosion 2010 has in store for you. Download and subscribe at ckdu.ca or halifaxpopexplosion.com.
Tune into Radio Numerica every week to count down CKDU's Top 30. Radio Numerica airs Mondays from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. on CKDU 88.1 FM or online at ckdu.ca.
Hi, I'm Phoenix Wolf. I'm from Halifax. You're listening to the Unified Field. Okay, that's good?
Yes, it is, Phoenix. Very good. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. We're back on Unified Field Radio here on CKDU 88.1 FM, broadcasting all over the place. If you have stories, questions, comments, or concerns, email them to me, Mr. Justin Brown, at unifiedfieldradio@gmail.com. And be sure to check out all the back episodes at www.youtube.com/unifiedfieldradio. myspace.com/unifiedfieldradio, and check out the blogs and some of the stories I've read at unifiedfieldradio.blogspot.com. I'm trying to tweak up the Twitter and try and get that out there. If you guys want to subscribe to that, that'd be great. Also, just a quick note, Sylvia Richards is having a psychic fair at, I think it's Cole Harbor Place on Halloween. It's either October 30th or 31st. You can contact her through yourspiritualhaven.com for further details on that, but it's going to be great. You can come in costume. Don't make it too gory. You know, they want to keep the spirit light. Sylvia, of course, is our correspondent for Calendar of the Paranormal. I'm sure she'll be on the next episode with the amazing Paul Hellier coming up. You don't want to miss that one because she's been so busy with this psychic fair that she's been setting up that we had to kind of postpone a bit of that stuff. But definitely check out her psychic fair coming up at the end of October on Halloween at Cole Harbor Place. So without further ado, let's get back to Stan Romanek and his incredible story and journey of extraterrestrial presence in his life, black ops in his life, weird robotic insiders calling him on his telephone, all kinds of strange paranormal happenings. He's going to disclose some of that right here. So here we go with Stan Romanek on Unified Field, the only paranormal radio broadcast in Atlantic Canada. I'm your host, Mr. Justin Brown, and thanks for tuning in this Saturday night. Is it 2001 you say you had your first encounter with the beings?
Well, in 2001, September 20th of 2001, I was in corporate management, retail management for, a lot of my adult life, and I was managing a store at the time. It was about 7 o'clock in the evening, and I just locked the doors to the store that I was managing, and my customers came running back, and they were knocking on the door, and I opened it up, and they said, "There's something above your work." And I thought, maybe somebody had climbed up on the roof and was messing around or something.
Right.
So I went outside to look,
Mm-hmm.
and above my work, a few hundred feet, was a huge sphere, another sphere, but this time it didn't have smaller spheres on the bottom. It was just perfectly round, red, blinking UFO.
Weird.
It's like, and again, it was about 40 foot in diameter, and it was a very, very windy evening, and this thing was just stuck there, just stationary, no sound, no anything, blinking very fast. And my mouth dropped, and we're all sitting there, and this is during rush hour in the middle of a big city.
Wow.
There are all kinds of people around, and we watch this object, and eventually it just kind of slowly flew away. And I locked up the store, and I started driving home. And now, my sister and my best friend were waiting for me. We were supposed to go out to dinner that evening, and I wanted to hurry up and rush home and tell them about my experience.
Mm-hmm.
When I suddenly know this object coming back toward me again, off in the distance. Well, I had some other experiences prior to that, and I started to get a little paranoid, wondering why they were starting to harass me, these UFOs. And so I hit the gas, and I headed straight for my apartment. And the UFO wasn't really following me. It was actually hovering above the apartment complex.
Okay.
And I ran upstairs because we lived in a second-story apartment. I ran up the stairs, got my friends and my friend and my sister, grabbed the camcorder, and, you know, we videotaped this object for a little bit, and then it went away. We never actually went to dinner that evening. My friend home, we talked about what happened. My friend went home about 11 o'clock. I went to bed. My sister went to bed. 2 o'clock in the morning, there was a knock at the door. Now, you know, I woke up because they must have been knocking for a long time because it woke me up. And I got up thinking, well, could it be my friend? Did he, you know, run out of gas and had to walk back? Was it a drunk neighbor? I didn't know. Well, by the time I reached the hallway, I'd noticed that my sister had already answered the door, and the door was wide open, and there were 3 people standing outside. And these people were a little bit smaller, so I thought they were young teenagers, and, you know, maybe they had a problem and couldn't get into their apartment. I didn't know. But as I got closer, I looked, and it looked like my sister was staring at the ceiling with her mouth open like she was still asleep, which I thought was really bizarre. And as I got even closer, I'm looking at these 3 people, and there was a female in the middle, and you could tell she was female because she had a female figure and a male on either side. And to me, at first it looked like they were wearing masks or costumes, and the first thing that popped into my head is, oh my God, these guys are going to rob us. And I'm yelling at my sister not to let them in because I didn't want to be robbed. Don't let them in, they're going to rob us.
Yeah.
And she didn't respond, and I got closer because I was about to, you know, I was going to try to defend myself just in case they were there to rob us. That's when I realized that whatever these things were, they weren't a costume, they weren't a mask, and they weren't human. And I got to tell you, that's a really hard thing to accept when you're a skeptic like I was. And I remember the female pushing forward. She kind of pushed my sister aside and came in and grabbed my hand, and I just took a deep breath.
Yeah.
I was so scared I almost passed out, to be honest with you. And I remember a thought popped into my head, and really, it's almost like trying to explain the color red to somebody that's never seen the color red. It's really hard to explain unless it's happened to you. But the thought was, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And I got to tell you, I wasn't going to be okay. I didn't put that thought in my head, so I really, really started to freak out. I did whatever she wanted me to do. And we lived in a second-story apartment, and they started leading me out to the balcony.
Okay.
And I guess I freaked out enough that by the time I got to the outside the sliding glass door, I snapped out of whatever trance I was in, and I grabbed one of the males. I was going to throw him off the balcony, and I felt a light tap on the back of my head, and I woke up somewhere else. Wow.
This is highly unusual to me because you say that you know it was a noticeable female because of the figure, right?
Yes.
Well, normally they're quite androgynous. It's only a telepathic feeling you get that there's a female presence.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's what makes it so different. These weren't your typical gray aliens that people talk about. In fact, I'm not sure I ever, I've seen things that are kind of like that, but they aren't really gray colored.
Did she have hair, Stan?
Pardon me?
Did she have hair?
The ones that took me, no.
Okay.
I mean, yes, they did, but it was almost like cancer patient type hair, very, very old people, pure white, very sparse hair. And I call them the possum people because they have really big heads, very, very skinny features, 3 fingers. The palms of their hands are very long, and the thumb was very long too, almost like a finger.
Amazing.
But they had very huge oriental almond-shaped eyes. I mean, extremely huge, but they were blue. Irises. They had blue irises.
Okay.
So blue they were almost violet. And it's always about the eyes. These eyes you couldn't look into them because they were too powerful. I don't know how else to explain it.
Stan, do you get the impression that these were hybrids?
That's what I thought. That's what people say that they're probably hybrids. I don't know for sure, but I came to the conclusion that they weren't human.
Right. Okay.
And it was, they were almost polite when it came to the experience. I was terrified, but it wasn't like, a lot of abductions you hear where it's really scary. It was really scary.